Hello and welcome to KennyRoy.com. I'm Kenny Roy. I'm ripping my glasses off. I'm so excited. This is the Ask Video Mail for the week of November 17th, 2014. Welcome to the site to you new members, and welcome back to the old members. The Ask Video Mail is your chance to get your question, character animation, or performance answered in a video just like this one, but I need your question if I'm going to answer it right. Yes, of course, so please send them to webmaster@kennyroy.com. I go through all the questions, and I answer the ones that I think will help the most people. There's no such thing as a stupid question. And it is the best way to get the most out of the site. You can even send me your Maya file. Remember, you can't use any copyright rigs that I can't show on the site. But if you have a question or a problem, or you've messed up your Maya file, send it to me. I'd love to break it open and see what you're doing, see your workflow, and help you out if I can by opening it up. Okay? I have an embarrassing admission. I thought CTN was last week. So you can imagine my surprise when on Thursday in the evening I was at the recording studio and I turned to a animator next to me and I said, "See you at CTN tomorrow." And she said, "What are you talking about? It's next week." So I will see you guys at CTN this Friday. Remember, walk right up to me even if I look busy and say hi. Also, I made an announcement last week, what I thought was a day before CTN, talking about the animation MOOC. Find me at CTN if you want more information about that. I'm going to be bringing my iPad with a little bit of a sign-up sheet. If you want more information about it, it will be sent to you. And if you want to be in the beta, that's where you're going to be able to sign up. Now, of course, not just the people who are at CTN are going to be in the beta, but it's where I want to start looking for the kind of person that's going to help it out. It's a good place to start. So, find me. And go to my Facebook and go to my Twitter. If you are following me on either of those, then retweet or share the status update that I put on those announcing the animation MOOC. And one person will win an iPad mini. Ooh. All right. Chosen randomly. Void where prohibited. And come on, that's rad. Right? So share that status and help get the word out. And I'll see you guys at CTN. Really, this time. My Lord. You may notice that I am a little skinny. I had a horrifying... Good thing CTN wasn't this weekend. I had a horrifying stomach bug, and I lost 7 pounds in 2 days. So, as you can see, I'm a little gaunt right now. Hopefully, I'm feeling much better. I'm recovered, but it was touch and go there for a while. So we're back. Check out the question. I think you're going to like it. Great question. I got asked this a little while ago, and I answered it in a certain way, and I want to answer it in a different way now that some time has passed. KennyRoy.com has been open for 4 years, so I felt a lot differently about it 4 years ago than I do now. I felt a lot different about it a year ago than I do now. And I'm going to give you the insight as from the perspective of somebody that is making budget decisions and is in control of projects and is trying to get stuff done. And why that is different from maybe the perspective that you're used to is in animation academia, there's a little bit of like purism, and it's easy to kind of get caught up into the fervor that's whipped up by like conferences like CTN and gatherings and get-togethers and discussions online, all those kinds of things. And what we sort of have to contend with is that, and you've heard this before, I know you've heard this before, that motion capture is just another way of getting a performance. If you match the budget and the fidelity needs of the project with a keyframe performance, then that's what you use. If you have the budget and the performance needs of a motion capture performance, that's what you'll use. It's as simple as that. Okay? So I want to warn you, though, that more than ever, it's a powerful tool as the fidelity gets higher and higher and the cost gets lower and lower. And there can be a lot more things that it's applied to. So you might be shocked to find that I'm about to say this, but we use motion capture at Arconics, and in fact, a huge portion of the feature film that I'm directing, Dog Eat Dog, is going to be motion capture. Certainly all the humans are going to be motion capture. It's about dogs, and primarily 90% of the screen time is dogs, and we can't mocap the dogs, but we're going to use cycles and reuse a ton of animation and layer the animation. So like two dogs walking next to each other having a conversation, it's going to be, bring in that cycle on the body and then pop in a new layer on the shoulders, neck, and head, as they're talking to each other and nodding and listening and then performing and whatever. For the faces, we actually use a program called Face Shift. And while I can't show you the dogs themselves, I did, for Halloween, I actually, and Face Shift uses any infrared stereo sensor. This one is called Prime Sense, but it looks like a Kinect, right? And you can use Kinect with Face Shift, but this Prime Sense one is a lot higher fidelity. And so, interestingly enough, for Halloween, I actually built this little pumpkin rig, and I was projecting this on my window, and trying to scare the trick-or-treaters. So basically, all I have to do is just I take off my glasses and I stand in front of the sensor, and here's a little bit of an example of how quickly you can get the facial animation from Face Shift into Maya. I mean, it works like basically immediately. So kind of interesting that I've come this far in terms, or kind of turned around almost. I was kind of one of the purists a while ago. Certainly, 5-6 years ago, I thought to myself, well, there's motion capture for games and like low budget stuff, and then things like crowds and whatever you need there to be, that's sort of the realistic, like super fine detail, like noisy kind of animation. But these days everything pretty much starts with a little bit of mocap. Everything. Found out from Joe Cassander, who was a guest here at the studio during one of our webcasts. Found out from him that there was on Transformers that they basically mocap all the battles, and a lot of the battles are cleaned up mocap. And then some of the other stuff that can't be mocapped, of course, is hand keyed. But there's a ton of mocap in Transformers. I never would have thought they would go anywhere near mocap for Transformers, but there you go. And it comes down to the exact same question that I was just talking about, which is like that budget and then like your fidelity needs. Like what do we need to put on screen in order for it to hold up to what it's supposed to look like? And the answer to that question makes the decision for you. What am I using? So that's from like a studio owner, and I'm a boutique, of course, but that's from a studio owner's perspective There's no like, do I really want to keyframe this, or do I really want to mocap this, or do I want to be a purist and hand key everything at my studio? That doesn't even come into play. You can't be like that. So what that means for you guys is that if you're at a studio and you don't know mocap, then and what does knowing mocap mean? What I mean is if you are daunted by mocap, if you hear that there's mocap coming and you want to run for the hills, that is your choice. If you want to be a purist and only hand key everything, then that's great. But like I've pointed out many times, there's probably maybe at the top tier places that do only keyframed animation, be it characters, feature film kind of stuff, like a feature animation, or hand keyed like creature effects, that kind of stuff that you can't mocap, like lions, tigers and bears, that kind of thing, like Life of Pi or whatever. So if you add up all of the jobs that are at those top tier places of keyframe only performance, then you have maybe, I'll be generous, you have maybe 10,000 animator jobs in the entire world. 10,000. And there's, easily over 100,000 animators, if not more, that are competing for just those jobs, okay? So the majority, and all of those jobs, all added up, are probably 1% of all of the animation jobs that are out there. All right, there's probably 1 million animation jobs out there. But 99% of them are in television episodic work, commercials, television VFX, and then film VFX, and then film creature animation, and then feature animation. Okay? So it's very, 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 very... Oh, I'm sorry. And let's not forget that all that, cut that in half, and then the other half is games. All games. Okay? Sorry, I kind of messed that up. So, point is that being a purist is good if you are on the fast track to Pixar, but only 1 in 10,000 animators is good enough for Pixar. So, plus, if you can't work out your own work authorization, you're going to have a little bit of trouble anyway. So, I don't want to discourage anybody. I really want to be encouraging. But the sooner, I think the sooner that you accept motion capture as a growing and valuable tool to capture performance, the better off you'll be. In fact, being familiar with it is a nice tool in your belt, because if you can work your way around with it, then that means, as somebody that understands performance, somebody that understands, that can handcraft, if you needed to, an entire emotional arc in a shot, right? That means that you will be able to, the best, edit and finesse that motion capture performance to be the very best that it can be, right? Better you than somebody who thinks that all you have to do is click a button and hit smooth keys, or just decimate the data and you have like cleaned up mocap. Better you than that person, right? So the more you think of mocap as something that you can whip up into shape, and you think of yourself as really somebody who's an expert in performance, the better off you'll be, okay? So to answer the question simply, absolutely not. No way will you be out of the job. Will you be obsolete if you don't know mocap, even today? But as somebody that probably was a purist, or could be considered in the purist camp and the purist side of this issue, not 5 years ago, I would have to say that there's things that are happening that are making it so that it's too valuable a tool to ignore on the studio level, and that's going to trickle down and sort of kind of dictate where the animation jobs kind of go in the end. Okay, so I really appreciate that question. Don't be afraid, guys. Don't be afraid. Just do your work hard, get workflow down, and you'll be in good shape. I don't know anybody who doesn't work hard and has great workflow and doesn't stick to it that hasn't eventually broken in and done well. Okay, so it's okay. Sky's not falling. Chicken Little reference there. All right, remember the address, webmasterkennyroy.com. Please send in your questions. Don't forget you have 2 free days added to your subscription. Every single question you send in, so you can send in 100 and do the math, 87, and I'll give you 1 extra free one, and you could have an entire free year on kennyroy.com. Okay, you would have an entire free year on kennyroy.com. 187 questions. They don't even have to be unique questions. Right? They don't even have to not have been asked and not answered before. So take a look. All right? Appreciate you watching. I'm Kenny Roy. Good luck with your animation. As always, rock on.